Hello. In this video, I'm going to talk about additional steps that you need to take to get enrolled at WVU Parkersburg. So the first thing you had to do to get to this point is to do your application for admission, which is step 1 on the chart. So hopefully if you're here in this orientation video, then you've already done this part. Your next step that you may need to take is to have transcripts as a high school graduate or your GED scores. If you are a high school graduate, you need to request to have your official high school transcripts mailed directly from your high school to WVU Parkersburg. These do need to be mailed, they cannot be faxed, and they cannot be brought in by the student in person. So you can contact your local high school, and you either have a registrar or a guidance counselor or sometimes even the front office secretary, and request to have your transcripts mailed to us. And they need to be a final transcript that shows a graduation date. So if you are a senior still in high school, you want to wait until late May or early June to request that transcript. If you have already graduated and there is a graduation date on your transcript, then you can request it at any time. If you have a GED, then you'll want to bring us a copy of your GED scores. And usually what we accept is when you finish your GED and they send you the official certificate, along the side are perforated on your certificate are your scores with your name and your social security number. And you can bring those in and we will just make a copy of them and return the originals to you. If you do not have your certificate, you may have to contact the GED Center in Charleston to get a new one issued. You may have some other options. So you might want to call the Student Welcome Center down here at 304-424-8310 if you don't have a copy of your GED scores, and then we can talk with you to determine what you need to do next. So that's the second step. The third step is if you are a transfer student. If you have attended any other college or university or taken college classes, there's a little extra work you're going to need to do, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. So we will come back to that point. So we're going to move on now to step 4. So to recap, do your application for admission, get us a high school transcript or GED scores, and moving on. If you have taken an ACT or an SAT test within the past year, we will need copies of those scores. You can request to have your scores sent to us by contacting ACT or SAT. Many times, if you're a recent high school graduate, they will be on your transcript. So if we already have your transcript, we can probably get them that way. Or if you took the test and they mailed you the official scores in the mail, you can bring those in. And we use those scores to determine what classes to place you in, especially in the areas of English, reading, and math. So that's why we have those test scores. We do not require that you take the ACT or the SAT though. And if you have not taken the test, either of those tests, or it's been more than a year, because we cannot accept scores that are more than a year old, then you can call our testing center and schedule a placement test. And the placement test is done here on our campus. It is reading, English, and math only. It is not timed, although you're not allowed to use a calculator on the placement test. But there are different days and times that you can choose from, and you call the testing center and tell them you need to schedule a placement test, and they will go ahead and schedule that test, give you options to choose from so you can schedule that test. There is a fee for the placement test that has to be paid in our business office before you can take your test. Once you take your placement test or you are able to get your ACT scores, then you can come into the Student Welcome Center on the Parkersburg campus or go to the Jackson County Center in Ripley to schedule your first semester of classes. Depending on your scores, you will see an advisor, and they will help you pick out the classes that you need to take for your major. depending, the classes that you've tested into, and have a discussion with you about, what your major plans are and that kind of thing. If you schedule at the Jackson County Center in Ripley, you need to make sure that you do call for an appointment because they do that by appointment only. In the Parkersburg campus, generally it's whatever day you come in to take your placement test, then immediately afterwards you meet with an advisor. If you have ACT scores and you don't need a placement test, then you can just walk in. Excuse me. So at that point, you will get your classes scheduled, and you'll be able to get your student ID once you are scheduled for classes. Okay, we are going to move on. We'll talk about transfer students next. If you are a transfer student, and this means that you have gone to another college or university and have college credits, you'll need to provide some additional information. You will still need to provide us official high school transcripts or GED scores. Even if you've been at another college, new financial aid regulations state that you have to be a high school graduate or have a GED in order to receive financial aid. So if you are interested in receiving financial aid, we do still have to have those materials. And then you will also have to submit official transcripts from any other college or university you have attended that is regionally accredited. These transcripts must be mailed directly to the Student Welcome Center, to the admissions office essentially. They cannot be faxed. They cannot be brought in by the student or a parent. They must be mailed. And sometimes colleges can take 2 to 4 weeks to send out transcripts. So if it's getting close to the beginning of the semester and your transcripts aren't in yet, you need to try to get those requested immediately because it can take time. And we will withhold your financial aid until we receive those transcripts, because you cannot be fully admitted until we receive all transcripts from all colleges that you have attended, and that will affect your ability to receive financial aid. So please do not wait to request transcripts, and remember that they must be mailed directly to the Student Welcome Center. Then, once we receive transcripts, we'll have to do a basic evaluation of them to see if you will still need a placement test. Maybe you never took a math class at your other school, but now you're going into a major that requires math. So we'll have to determine if you need a placement test. If you do, we'll help you get that scheduled. If you don't need a placement test, you've already had your English and your math, then we will most likely refer you to an advisor in whatever major you wish to go into. That way you can make sure they will have to, in each academic division, the business division, health science, business economics and mathematics division, health sciences division, social sciences and languages, humanities and education, and science and technology. They have to determine what credits they can use from your other colleges to apply to your new major. So most likely we will transfer you, recommend that you talk to an advisor in your major. The records office on campus will do the official evaluation of your transcripts and apply them to your transcript here at WVU Parkersburg. That will get you started if you are a transfer student. There's one other kind of student that we often get over here in this box that's called a transient student. And a transient student is a student that is currently attending another college or university, and they just want to take 1 or 2 classes at WVU Parkersburg to then take back to their home school, what we call the home school. And if that's the case, that's a little separate process. So if you are a transient student, after you do your application for admission to the college, your next step is to then call the Student Welcome Center to find out what you need to do next, because that's kind of a separate process. So if you are attending another college or university and you just want to take 1 or 2 classes at WVU Parkersburg to take back to your other school, you are considered a transient student, and that is a separate process that you'll need to go through, and we will help you with that in the Student Welcome Center. If you have any questions about the enrollment process, I'm going to scroll back up here. Please contact the Student Welcome Center at 304-424-8310. And that the Student Welcome Center basically functions as the admissions office, so we can help answer any questions. Have your transcripts arrived? What other steps do you need to take to get enrolled? So if you have any questions about the admissions process, please contact the Student Welcome Center. Thank you.